Well, I guess it's going Rome then. Hello you lot, welcome back to the Max Goodwin YouTube channel and what is probably going to be the final episode of the Euro reaction where we dissect the biggest games and talking points from Euro 2020 over the course of the tournament. As you can probably guess, this episode is going to be entirely dedicated to the final between Italy and England at Wembley on Sunday evening. I wanted to get it live on Sunday, the actual video, or this morning on Monday, but I wanted a chance to sort of dissect the game and analyse it from my perspective and also just sort of drink in the entire experience. I'm extremely proud to have watched this England team do as well as they have, and actually to watch Italy as well. It's a real pleasure to watch the way in which Italy have played over the course of the tournament and how they've constructed what is possibly the best side in Europe. I mean, obviously judging on the result, which you can probably tell by now, the result probably is the best team in Europe, obviously, on winning the tournament, but an incredible team nonetheless, whatever you think of them, and all credit goes to them for winning. So yeah, I wanted to just do a video where I dissected some of the moments within the game, some of the stats, and also just gave my thoughts on the tournament as a whole. At some point in the near future, I'll be doing probably like a Euro retrospective, something like that, where I just talk about how the tournament went as a whole, how I think England did, obviously being an England fan, and also some of the sort of big moments, small moments. I'll probably talk a bit more about my player of the tournament, goal of the tournament, young player of the tournament, goalkeeper, all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean. So without any further ado, let's crack into it and have a little chat about the game and see how England got on. You can probably tell how they did in the final of Euro 2020. Okay then, so England will actually get off to a really good start, kicking things off with an early goal, a very early goal on the counter-attack from an Italy corner, with Luke Shaw tapping in a Kieran Trippier cross from the edge of the box. It was a lovely cross, went over the head of all the attackers, but you could almost sort of forgive him for that, because it did almost look like he was looking to pick someone out of the back stick, and Luke Shaw was the man making that darting run in there. He started the move off, he finished it off with a lovely little volley into the bottom corner. Donnarumma, you could argue, probably could have done a little bit better because it was at his near post, but at the same time, with the pace on the ball coming across and the pace on the shot, you could maybe say it wasn't necessarily the easiest of saving opportunities for the Italian. However, England would eventually be pegged back thanks to a second half finish from Leonardo Bonucci, one of the better players on the day, I would say, for Italy as well. Absolute colossus at the back. The game started off initially with Harry Kane going one-on-one with Giorgio Chiellini for headers and things like that. Eventually it looks like Chiellini shifted Kane onto Bonucci, who did a much better job of managing the England captain. Like I say though, he got the equaliser from a pretty spilled corner. It was the ball sort of pinging all over the place and eventually did fall to the Italian after a pretty good stop from Jordan Pickford. Unfortunately, Kane, who was on the line, couldn't deflect the shot back out. It was from like 3 yards out. It was pretty impossible for us to save it. It was really well worked from Italy as well over the course of about 20 minutes in the second half, that initial 20 minutes where they just pounded on England's door and eventually managed to find the breakthrough. Although that would be the final goal of the game after 120 minutes, was just 1 goal apiece. And I was surprised by this. I did think that a little bit more would be created. These were two of the more prolific teams in the tournament. But when you think about it, England at this point had now just conceded 2 goals in the tournament, just like 1 technically, I guess, from that corner from open play. Italy had only conceded a couple, 2 or 3 themselves, so it's pretty understandable that this game was very much a very good defensive performance from both teams, but very much defensive in the structure and the way in which it was played. The stats read as this for the game: 65% possession to 35 for Italy, 19 shots from Italy to 6. The Azzurri pounded us, let's just be honest, like they pounded us. 6 shots on targets to 3 corners to 5, doesn't really matter, and they conceded 21 fouls. I think their game management was exceptional. There was a moment very late on the second half where Saka went through clear and was just hacked down by Chiellini, and it was a very intelligent challenge, a very good professional foul. Wasn't a red card because he wasn't through on goal and it wasn't the last man, but if he'd got through he probably would have been clear to at least put the ball into the box. So I think very good challenge from Chiellini there to manage the game very well. In terms of expected goals, for those who are a little bit more inclined to those sort of stats, it went 1.8 to 0.5 in Italy's favour, and a lot of their shots did come from within inside the box of good quality. Credit to Pickford though, he did save a few good efforts throughout the game, particularly down the left-hand side, which was where Italy had their most productive spells of the game. Emerson pushing forward, allowing Di Lorenzo to push in to create a back 3 in the back line. England, though, didn't really create very much on the day, so you can't really argue against the result. I just wanted to take a moment to highlight what I thought was the man of the match performance on the day in the final. I feel like that's quite a relevant thing to talk about. Marco Verratti is the player in question. 5 tackles, interceptions and blocks on the day. He was also 4th for progressive distance from passes, and I believe 3rd in the squad for progressive passes in the end. He was also top for both squads by quite a distance for progressive carries. These are carries of the ball that lead to the player moving 10 yards towards the opposition's goal. And he was very, very instrumental in picking the ball up from deep and progressing it forward through the midfield. I don't think England did a good enough job of pressing the Paris Saint-Germain midfielder. He was very much the conduit. I did think we managed Giorgio quite well. He was the one, and maybe that's naivety of me because I've seen him play more in the Premier League, obviously. I did think Giorgio was going to be more of a threat, and I think we did quite a good job of just parking mount on him for the majority of the game and not really letting him get much joy really at all on the ball. But then Verratti started coming deep, allowing Barrea to press forward and progress the ball through carrying it. And Verratti just dropped a little bit deeper and just helped dictate play a little bit. And that was predominantly in the second half. And I think it was very clear to see that he was going to be the link between Italy winning the game or not winning. It was a very good performance, is what I'm trying to say, from Verratti in the midfield. He was very much dropping in alongside that too, and just helping keep the ball moving, ticking along, and moving upfield as and when he needed to. As for England, I haven't really spoken much about the performance because, to be honest, there wasn't really much to talk about. I don't think we really offered anything going forward. Harry Kane was pretty good for the opening 30 minutes, and the team as a whole, to be fair, were pretty good for the opening 30 minutes. However, there were a little bit of a drop-off, I would say, in the team's performance after about half an hour. You could see the boys were just too tired, having gone the distance pretty much against Denmark and having had a pretty intense pressing system deployed throughout the majority of the tournament. You could just see, and it was the same against Denmark last week. You could see against Germany in spells as well in the round of 16. The team could press very well for the opening half an hour and then just dropped off a little bit in the final 15 minutes of the first half. And unfortunately, we weren't really able to get the shape back in the team. I think Italy did a really good job of managing us. Eventually, England went to a 4 at the back, bringing Trippier off and allowing Jack Grealish to come on the left. And it just didn't really help. Grealish was pretty decent on the day and definitely was more or less probably the best creative player in the squad going forward. But the change to 4 at the back just didn't really help. I think it meant that we were vastly outnumbered defensively. It allowed them to break forward, and I would argue we were probably better sticking at the 3 at the back. I think we were a lot more covered when Italy broke forward, when we had that extra defender in there, rather than Walker having to peel out to the right-hand side following Trippier's substitution. The game, of course, would go to penalties. Unfortunately, our missed penalties were from substitutes: bukayo Saka, Jadon Sancho, and Marcus Rashford. I'm obviously deeply upset with what's unfortunately being posted on social media about them, both racial and just in general abusive content being posted about all 3 of them, particularly bukayo Saka, but all 3 of them. It upsets me greatly, obviously, as not just an England fan, but as a human being. It's really upsetting to see stuff like that posted. All I can say, I guess, is from my perspective, they did their nation proud. They've done, everyone in that squad's done people proud, but particularly people like Marcus Rashford, bukayo Saka, and Jadon Sancho. They've done us all so proud to have gone and got us to the final and been instrumental parts in it. I couldn't be prouder of what they've achieved. Obviously, if you yourself are seeing anything on social media posted about these guys that is racial or just abusive in general, please report it. Please report it to Twitter, to Instagram, Facebook, whoever. It's not fair. It's just not cool. It's just pretty crappy thing to do, especially considering these guys are 23 and under. Like, Marcus is a year older than me, but Jadon and bukayo, they're younger than me, and it's not good, mate. It's not sound. I don't know why you would be doing stuff like that. I know a lot of it's like bots that are just programmed to do that kind of stuff, but there are people genuinely posting, from what I've seen, quite disturbing content about the 3 of them, and it's not cool. So if you see it, please report it. It may not seem like you're doing much, but it really does go a long way, even in just affirming the whole of the country, every fan of football is behind them in trying to rid the game of what is crap and horrible stuff. I could say more, but I don't want to end up getting this video taken down for what I would say. But just, I think I've made myself clear on my stance their heroes, the three of them, what Marcus has done over the last year in feeding children, and what Bukayo and Jadon do in London for grassroots football. It goes without saying what they've been doing. So extremely proud of the team, extremely proud of the boys, and we've got a World Cup next year to look forward to. So let's get ready to prepare for it, I guess. That does wrap up this episode of the Euro reaction. They were just all my raw reactions. Haven't had a bit of a chance to digest the performance last night and have a chance to think about it. Obviously, let me know what you thought of England's performance last night in the comments below. And let me know what you thought of Italy's performance. I thought they were astounding on the day. Definitely the best team at the tournament. Giorgio and Verratti. I thought Lorenzo Insigne was so dangerous when he came on. And Federico Chiesa, when he was on for about 60 minutes, was amazing as well. Really interested to see how Mancini takes his team forward as probably one of the favourites for the World Cup next year, seeing as they were probably the best team in the tournament over the course of the last month. Of course, you can do all that stuff down in the comments down below or on my Twitter and Instagram pages. They're at MaxDJGoodwin for both. Best place to find out when new videos are going live and also have a little chat with me about how you think Euro 2020 has gone down. Stay tuned, of course, for my Euro retrospective video that will hopefully be going out later in the week, where I'm just going to have a little bit of a digestion as the tournament as a whole, not just the England-Italy final, but just as a whole, how the tournament went on. And of course, if you could drop a like and subscribe down below whilst you're down there, I'd really heavily appreciate it. We're currently on the road to 250 subscribers. I'll apologise in advance that the content over the next month or so is going to be a little bit dry, just because of my starting of a new job, potentially moving house, that kind of stuff. I'm hoping though when I'm in a new house, I'll have a bit more of a studio space where I can actually do more professional videos than me just talking into a camera. We'll see how it goes though. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for sticking by the channel over the course of the tournament. Hope you all have a lovely day. I will catch you later.